Did you know that there are 5 different properties when you're looking for an apartment in Austin, Texas? Let's get into those right now. Property number 1, this is going to be your standard type of apartment, right? Standard is typically going to be like right below or under the average rent price for the city. So if you take the city overall and you have the average rent price, the standard apartment property is going to be a little below that. And they're typically going to show unit availability within 60 days. The second category is going to be your luxury apartments. Now you'll see a lot more of those throughout the city. And those are typically going to be near the average rent price or above it. Okay, and typically by a percentage. Those are also going to provide details and unit availability within 60 days. The third category is like your sky-rise, high-rise apartments. Now, those apartments are typically going to be way above the average rent price of the city, typically in multiples, right? So not just 10% above the average, typically like double or triple. Those apartment properties are also going to show you their pricing and unit availability within a 60-day window. Sometimes you can get away with maybe 75 with those first 3 categories, but typically around 60 days is when they're going to show you updated availability. Pricing changes every single day for each one of those properties. Or maybe not every single day, but maybe every other day. Let's just say that if you looked at it pricing for 1 week and you came back a week or 2 later, it's going to be a different price, okay? Now, the fourth category is going to be student housing. Now, the reason why that's its own category is because it's typically only for students who are actively attending college, right? So if you're not going to college, student housing is not going to be for you. That's not going to be an option. But the biggest difference is that they don't do their availability, or they don't provide their availability within like a 60-day or a day window. They offer by semesters. So typically it may be, let's say right now I'm filming this and we're in February. They may be offering maybe like a fall move in, like maybe towards the summer. It varies by property. Make sure you ask, but they're going to work in semesters versus in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. So that student housing only for students. If you graduated or you didn't go to college, you are not going to get there. Now, the first 3 categories that I've mentioned, well, of course, the first 3, right? That being the standard, the luxury, and the sky-rise, high-rise, that's open to the general public. If you are a college student and you want to stay in any one of these 3 properties, you definitely can. It's open to anyone. But if you're looking at student housing, that's typically only for students who are actively going to college. So that's the fourth one, student housing. And then the fifth category of apartments is going to be affordable housing. Now, affordable housing is a little bit different because it is typically income based. It's going to be based on what you make, and there's typically a particular threshold that you have to be at or under in order to be considered for affordable housing. Now, how this is being offered, that particular property is partnering either with the city, maybe or another local government agency or federal agency to be able to offer these affordable housing units. And typically there's a wait list. So you're not going to look at a 60-day window or a 90-day window. You're not going to look at a semester-based window, but instead you may be looking anywhere from like 8 months to a year out because it's a waiting list. And each property has a different threshold, right? So one property may say, hey, you can't make more than $43,000 a year. Another property may say, hey, you can't make more than $31,000 a year in order to gain access to this property. So if you are looking at an affordable housing property, meaning all the units are for affordable housing, then make sure you get their income thresholds, and you're going to have to be below that. But even some of those properties even have a floor. So you can't go above the ceiling, but you can't go below a floor. So each one of those affordable housing properties have their own criteria. So make sure you ask what it is. Now, one more thing about the affordable housing units, or excuse me, let's just say the affordable housing property, is that sometimes one of the first 3 categories, right, the standard, luxury, and sky-rise, high-rise, may offer affordable housing units within those buildings or within that property. Even though that entire property may not be affordable housing, they may have units within it. And they also, those units are going to have their own threshold as far as what you can make. You can't go above, or maybe there's also a floor. But again, that threshold is going to be property specific. It's going to change. It's not a blanket amount or a blanket number or blanket income. So if you are looking at that, make sure you ask, because it could be different if you looked at 2 other affordable housing properties or 2 other properties that have affordable housing within it. So those are the 5. I hope that that was helpful. If there's anything that I missed, please by all means leave me a comment below and I'll do my best to get it in a future video. Also, if you already have an apartment, you're already set and you're like, Marcus, I'm not looking for anything else. We also added some links down in the description below to help you with some living room sets or maybe some home office items, help you with the search if you need to get something for your place. So until next time, stay awesome, stay amazing. Whoa.